everybody, how's it going? Marcos Villegas for Fight Up TV here in London, England, being joined with the one and only Teddy Atlas. Teddy, good to see you. Let's recap some action that happened in the world of boxing over the weekend, or last weekend. Canelo against Edgar Berlanga. How'd you see Canelo? How'd you see Edgar? What'd you make of the fight?
You know, Canelo looked great. He really did. He looked like a fine wine, maybe getting better in certain areas. There's certain things you don't do that the younger Canelo did, but there's other things he does better than the younger Canelo did. The things you don't do, he's not quite as busy. He doesn't put punches together quite as much or as consistently, but he places shots. Beautiful, beautiful, educated, smart, crispy, inside, outside, but really on the inside. Beautiful infighting, just beautiful short combination, like a Joe Louis type. You couldn't give a man a better compliment than that in boxing. But the way that saying common and uncommon environments, sitting in the pocket, sitting there waiting for the right hand to start a Berlanga, and then bang, you know, just waiting for it in the pocket there in the center of the storm, and then bam, just beating them to it with a left hook. Things like that. Only good fighters can do that. Only experienced fighters can do it. Showing this experience. Again, just beautiful pinpoint placing of shots to the body, the uppercut. I would have said one thing, and all the haters would jump on me. Teddy, you're finding something bad to say? You just said nice things about Canelo. If I would have just liked to see him with that beautiful right uppercut. It's beautiful. It's just seamless. It's no warning to it. It's explosive. You don't know it's coming. I would have just liked to see a short left hook with it. Instead of hitting him the one good shot, you hit him two, see what happens. But just, again, pinpoint accuracy, laser accuracy, just solid inside fighting, just control of his environment. And the greatest thing about it, he had a guy that was threatening. First of all, he was a behemoth. He was colossal. It was striking how much bigger than Canelo. We got to rethink in this business that we say we love and we care about. We got to think we're making a living at for a long time, and I've been in 50 years. We have to start to rethink. We always talk about other things to make boxing better. How about the real things? How about the real important things that can be changed, like rehydration clause? We got to rethink.
Supposedly, Berlanga weighed in at 193 pounds.
We got to rethink. We got to, I mean, what's that? 20, how many pounds? 15, 23 pounds. We got to rethink the rehydration clause, maybe even go back further, where you had an era of boxing where it was the biggest sport in America, and you had great fighters fighting each other much more than they do now, although Turkey Al-Sheikh's changing that. He's bringing fights that we hadn't seen together in the last year. But I'm talking about back in the day when great fighters all fought each other on a regular basis 3, 4, 5 times. And they had massive amounts of fights. They didn't have 30 fights for a career, 40 fights for a career. They had 30 fights in a year. Some of them had 200 fights, 250, 300 fights, like Archie Moore, Willie Pep, you know, Henry Armstrong, my favorite. All these great fighters. And you didn't hear about the injuries that you're hearing about now. Maybe it's because it wasn't put out there like it is with social media. Maybe it wasn't publicized. Maybe that's part of it. But they fought and they weighed in the same day. You had to be in that weight class. In other words, you couldn't weigh in that morning and then fight unless you could make that weight. Nowadays, you get guys that are fighting out of their weight class because they know they can put 25 pounds on. They know they can rehydrate a whole day. So maybe you have to rethink that a little bit there, where you go back to maybe the same day. I mean, it worked back then. Again, where if you were middleweight, you really had to be a middleweight. You couldn't be a welterweight squeezing into a middleweight size for one day. You had to make the right weight, the weight that God meant you to be, the weight that, you know, that made sense, and made sense in this business. So and maybe makes it a little safe in certain ways. So that's one thing. I know people say, oh, but Teddy, you won't have time to rehydrate. Then, you know what? Go to a heavier weight class. There's an answer. There's an answer. So, but at the end of the day, what I liked about Canelo, and listen, he's gotten mad at me. He's said things about his fans, that I hate him, that I knock him. No. I give him credit when the credit is due. The credit is due now. And I give him credit for his body of work and the career he's had. And that he's never blemished the sport with any outside activity or behavior. I give him credit for all of that. I give him credit for, the titles he's won, the record he has, beating all these undefeated fighters. Even if he picks them, and everyone picks to a certain point, but he's got the privilege of picking a little more because, he is the pay-per-view king. He does bring the big bucks. But I give him, when I've said anything that is deemed as negative about him, and I don't go back on it, when people say he's the greatest Mexican of all time, I say, hit the brakes. Hit the brakes. He's a terrific fighter. And he fits in that great history. He fits in that lineage. But when you say the greatest, please.
His career's not over yet.
No, but they want to do it now. Anoint him. Do your homework. Now, if he goes and beats Benavidez, if he goes and beats Bivol, if he goes and beats, Beterbiev, if he does that, is Teddy Atlas willing to say, move him maybe to the top of the list? Yeah, come see me then. Yeah. Maybe I will. But what I'm saying right now, that a lot of these people that Trump get mad that I say such things, they don't really understand the great history and the depth of it, of the Mexican history of fighters. They don't understand how many Ruben Oliveras, and I could go on, Salvador Sanchez, and just go, and then the modern era with the great Marquez and Barrera, Morales, all of them, and then
Benito's very underappreciated.
He is, and then but then like I said, you go back in Chavez Senior, and just so many that Matias. I don't think that they're aware in a proper way to make the assessment they make and to come after me saying, oh, Teddy, he is the great, until they understand and appreciate what that heritage is, what that history is, what that list consists of. That's what I'm saying. Educate yourself. And then if you want to say it, go ahead. But I don't think you've seen a lot of these guys, so how do you evaluate that? And I get it, it's hard to evaluate different eras. But getting back to the fight at hand, the fight that he just had, he had a guy in front of him who was not only big, he could punch, he was talented, he was undefeated, and he was ready to grow. What do I mean by that? I got grandkids, I've got kids. Have you ever seen those little miniature figurine sponges that come in a capsule, and you give them to your kid and you put it in the bathtub and bang, it becomes big? Berlanga was ready to become one of those. He was ready. He wasn't quite ready. Munguia wasn't quite ready. That's what I mean by picking his spots. Not quite. Talented, but not quite ready where he's had those fights on that stage yet, of that level, to know that he's ready for it. Not quite. And I think Canelo knows that. He's smart. He's a good manager besides being a good fighter. Real good fighter. And nothing wrong with it. Everyone's done it. And he goes and he was right. He wasn't quite ready, even though it was a good fight. He picked Berlanga, not quite ready. But what Berlanga was, besides not being quite ready, mature enough mentally, he was ready to get ready. He was willing to become ready. He was willing to grow in the midst of that fight, like one of those sponge figurines does in a bathtub. And Canelo wouldn't let him. And Canelo sensed it. When is the last time you saw Canelo come out of the gate that fast? He usually don't come out that fast. He's smart. He really is. He's a champion for a reason. This is why I'm giving him his flowers right now. He deserves them. He don't need them from me. He don't need them from me. You go, I don't need them from you. Fine. But just like I'll go and say to them that I think is right to say if it's should be said in a negative or in a way that brings them down to in a certain, or points out something that they deem as bringing them down, I'm going to do it. But I'm also going to do this. And I think that's what people, I hope, respect. That you might be my best friend. If I think you did something wrong, I'm going to say it. If I'm asked the question, or you might be my worst enemy. If you did something right, I'm going to say it. Canelo sensed that Berlanga was capable of growing and ready to grow right in the fight, right in front of him, become ready. And he came out fast to set the tone to make sure that didn't happen. To set the tone, and not only that, every time he felt that Berlanga might be growing, he pushed the gas pedal. He put his foot on the gas. Every time he got in there, banged him to the body, put pressure on him, never allowed him to grow. Never allowed that sponge to absorb that water. That water is confidence in my business, in our business. He never let that dripping of confidence get on that sponge of Berlanga and make him even bigger. Bigger in a real way, inside in his belief, not just in physical size. Every time he sensed it, he stepped to the plate. He got inside, he banged him to the body. He put enough pressure on him to quell that growth. That is a good fighter. That is a smart fighter. That's a connected fighter with his environment, with his understanding of what's going on. That I appreciate. That is why I took 20 minutes to talk about that part of the fight. That was the fight. And again, brilliant on the inside. And then on the outside was his jab. You know, his jab, hard, accurate, straight. And I give credit to Berlanga. Berlanga faltered in the later round where he went to headbutt. He was starting to falter, but he put himself together. He put himself together, and he didn't let himself go down that road. He didn't let himself fall apart. He's going to get better. I think Berlanga could become a champion because of this fight. That if I'm right, if I know anything about this sport, I hope I know a little something. I think that you could expect a different Berlanga next time, a more complete Berlanga from the inside out. Not just a big talented Berlanga. I think this fight could really make him because of the reason I said what he learned, the answers to the questions that he got. But at the end of the day, I give Berlanga credit. I give him credit. I think he did just enough to lose well in a certain way. Again, I got to be honest, where he did enough to lose honorably, you know, to be able to live with it. But more importantly, I think he wanted to be more, but Canelo didn't let him be more. He wanted to get that other part that was still missing, that confidence, that ingredient, that answer to the question, can I depend on myself in this level? Do I belong? Am I ready? He didn't get that answer yet. He was trying to get it. He was right. So at the end of the day, did he go out there on the lurch and do the things to do more than have a good performance and win? Would have taken a little bit more confidence, a little more risk. It would have taken a little bit more, but he didn't have it to do. So I say it. No, he didn't do it. He came up short. I believe that this will make him ready to do that. And if it does, look out. Look out. He's going to be a force. And the way that I recognize what he was and wasn't doing was from this way. Not his trying to impose his physicality, which was great, by going inside. But on the outside with the jab, where he didn't throw that long foam pole. My God, it was long and big. Boom, 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 like George Foreman against Joe Frazier. He didn't throw it that way. He did this. He did. Sometimes he snapped it. I give him credit, but he did this. He measured. He used it as a measuring stick, not as a hammering rod. If I'm right about this, and I think I am, I hope I am, Berlanga will use that jab from the rest of his career as a hammering rod to knock doors down, doors to victory, doors to the next place, and instead of just doing this, instead of just pouring and doing that.
So let me ask you this, Teddy. So he fought a guy that outweighed him 25 pounds, and a lot of people have been bringing up, well, he said one of the reasons why the Benavidez fight wasn't attractive to him was because Benavidez just brings 25 pounds extra, and people are saying, well, you just fought a guy 25 pounds extra.
Something a little more. And I'm not making him a liar, Canelo. I'm just talking for Teddy Atlas. My experience. He brings something a little bit more than just the 25 pounds extra that Berlanga brought. He's bringing the full confidence, the full package, the full belief that he belongs. He already has he's bringing the answers to the questions Berlanga was there to get. He's bringing that. And you know what? Canelo's smart. That is worth and more dangerous than 25 pounds. That's 50 pounds. That is much more valuable than 25 pounds. He could deal with 25 pounds without the other stuff. But now, to fight a guy bigger, who could be 25 pounds quicker, bigger, but also is more complete in those areas, who has the answers to those questions, who has the belief and the confidence to go with that extra 25 pounds. That is something that I think Canelo's aware of. And that's something that, whether he's aware of it or not, he's not stating that part. And I'll state that part in all fairness. But that's what Benavidez would bring. 25 plus that.
So on the flip of that, people are also, fans are observing, well, look what Canelo did to a guy that outweighs him 25 pounds. Crawford had a very close fight with Madrimov at a 54-pounder. What is he going to do if he jumps up 2 weight classes? How is he going to withstand the power of a Canelo at 68 who's used to getting hit by bigger guys?
It's a good question, but do we know at the end of the day if that fight ends, a big if that fight was to transpire, do we know for sure what the weight would be? Do we know?
Full 68, I think. That's been stated.
It'd be interesting.
Crawford doesn't want any excuses.
It'd be interesting. That's Crawford. That's why Crawford's great, by the way. That's why I think he's great. One of the reasons. Here's the thing. I just told you that you're going to see, I think, a development curve. I think you're going to see a metamorphosis of sorts with Berlanga, growing from this fight. Now, Crawford's already grown. Don't discount his first time at 154. Don't discount that there'd be a little growth there too. For a guy to get it, again, we all need answers to questions. Even the great Crawford, even the great, and I love him, but even the great Crawford, another guy who's never embarrassed the sport, another guy who's done so great things, never hear nothing bad, behaves like a champ in and out of the ring. I have to believe that even him went into that fight with Madrimov, underrated guy, 10 pro fights, 300 amateurs. A solid man, a solid guy that did subtle things, control range, feinted a little bit, kept you off balance, made these unusual movements, unorthodox movements to keep you from getting your timing, from feeling comfortable. If I get off, I might walk into something. I better be a little more conservative. I'm going to bargain. I'm going to bet my experience, my reputation, that Crawford got some answers even in that fight. That a lot of people just wrote it off he was going to win big. And he won the right way. He won handily. He won solid enough. But I'm going to bet that just like Berlanga, who's at a whole different place in life and talent, everything, but I'm going to believe that Crawford got some answers that he didn't even know he needed. That he went into this fight probably assuming certain things like we all did, because he's so great, and he is. He got some questions asked that he didn't expect to be on that test that night. And he got the answers to those questions at 154. He already got the answers, down at 130, 35, when he started out, whatever, then 140, then 147. But he hadn't gotten them yet, even though we assumed he did. He hadn't gotten them really in the only place that works, in a place of experience, in the ring. At 154, he got those now. So don't go and believe it's going to be the same Crawford when he steps up to 168 if that happens. No, this is going to be a better arm Crawford, even better than he's been. This is going to be a Crawford that's now armed with that information, now armed with more confidence, now armed with the things that he needs in his mind to add another pelt, to his collection, to add another belt, another title, to already the great collection that he has. So if I'm gonna handicap that, that's how I'm gonna handicap it. Don't be so sure that the Crawford you saw with Madrimov is not going to be different. He will be different. He will be different. I can tell you, and I think in the areas I just pointed out, and whatever that equates to physically.
Teddy, you got a long queue of people here. I appreciate the time as always. Great seeing you as well. Teddy Atlas, thank you so much.
I hope it was good enough for you. My pleasure.
Thank you.